Hey team, just sitting here in the rainy Sydney weather, just contemplating on world events and about history and where we're going as a country or as a Western culture, and maybe even the other cultures that don't agree with the Western style of system. Where are we all going? And I think it's a good time for the West to reflect on current events and look at the cause and effect of these events, and try to map out an alternative route for humanity. I think this is a good time for doing that. What do you think? Do you think this is a good time? I've been doing a bit of research lately in events leading up to the First World War and the Second World War and the Vietnam War, and different what could be perceived as leaps in industrial economic progress, and the way that nations have made decisions to stay what they imagine is some perceived gauge of success. And I keep coming back to the same thing, which is that a small minority of stakeholders have wielded the power and held on to what often has been stolen wealth, resources, and I keep coming back to that, and that seems to play out over the last 100 years. So, seeing where we are now and seeing the reaction of where I am in Australia, seeing the reaction of the government here, and it seems that they are confident in the continuation of this small group holding on to wealth. But now I think it's a good time for everyone to question, well, what really is this gauge of success of wealth? Is it in monetary terms? Is it, say, precious metals? Is it intellectual innovation, advancement? Is it, what really is the gauge of wealth and success now? Because I think that is a good time. This is a good time for nations to reflect on that, seeing where we are. I don't know. I'm quite encouraged by the awakening, which is happening in the Western countries, even here in Australia. I guess other cultures and other developing nations can probably stand back and say, well, what took you so long? We've been suffering the effects of this minority in the way they make moral judgments. They've been suffering or have felt the effects of this minority and the way they make policy decisions for decades and decades. And now you've just suddenly woken up. So maybe that's something to reflect on. Another thing that I keep coming back to, more obvious in the in the, say, last 5 or 6 decades, or even say from the 1940s, 1950s, is the fact that wherever monumental policy and nations make decisions on the way their masses are organized, seems to revolve around one factor quite often. Of course, it's the banking interests, money and banking interests. But right up to recent events, which are happening now, it's probably no surprise that the fossil fuel industry's dirty fingerprints, namely gas and oil, are over all these major shifts and events, and even in particular right up to the current events now. So yeah, what do you think about that? Fossil fuel interests, dirty fingerprints, are over this current event which is taking place, and I think that's something to reflect on now as a human species, whether we're going to allow this entity to influence our future visions and policies and direction to which we want to go. That's something to decide now. I think we've got to make that decision now. So yeah, that's what I get out of these current events. Is it wise to allow this group of business economic is it wise to allow this industry, namely mining gas and oil, to influence us the great populations into their strategy of protecting their assets and their way of seeing the world? Is that a wise way? Or should we challenge and question our governments, namely here in Australia? I'm seeing a great catalogue of evidence mounted against both sides of government here in the way they have allowed these industries to direct our economic and social progress and cultural progress. So that's just what I get out of this situation now. Anyway, I just want to leave it at that. You might have some thoughts on that. Yeah, so you can leave them in the comments. So this is Green to Stay Eco with the Green to Stay SWD Marketing Network signing out. Thank you.